Okay, this is a review for Sony Sound Forge Pro for Mac 2. It is a program that's been on Windows for a very long time. In fact, it's on version 11 on Windows. This is the second version of it for Mac. I'll first start off by having a little look at what the main features are and a tour of the interface. Then I'll tell you some of the things I do and don't like about it, or if I found any bugs or issues. This is the latest version at the time I'm making this review, which is 2.5.0 build 133. So let me first take a look at the main features. It has CD burning, it has Sony's own Wave Hammer compressor and limiter plugin built in, which according to them is a SoundForge Classic plugin, which is finally available for Mac. It has compression and volume maximization that delivers master recordings to the classic SoundForge clarity and punch. It has focused editing. It's a second generation audio editing application designed exclusively for OS X, with expanded editing features incorporated by popular demand. You can record at high resolution quality, so you can record at up to 192 kilohertz 24-bit resolution. You have various editor panels, which I'll show you in a minute. It has a media browser, it has audio meters, it has plugins and a plugin chain, so you can chain together several plugins to sort of automate the process of adding plugins a little bit. I'll show you that as well. Signal and effects processing, including some third-party ones by iZotope. It is, according to them, a one-stop audio mastering solution. Generate perfect master files straight away with Sound Forge Pro Mac, including the third-party mastering and repair suite that is included with the Pro version. Also, it comes with Nectar Elements. Nectar Elements is a third-party plugin that normally you'd pay for separately. Normally it costs around $130 or £130. And basically its primary purpose is to enhance vocals in, say, a song and boost the voice out a bit and clean it up. But it is also it can be used fine for voiceovers and podcasts, things like that, as there is presets for voiceovers, including a podcast preset. They also say it includes free blast wave sound effects. It includes 200 free blast wave FX sound effects. It has a normalization plugin, a channel converter plugin. It has event-based editing, according to their own website, allows you to divide a sound file into a number of independent sections that can then be arranged or rearranged on the timeline. It includes some other processes such as mute, reverse, volume, and mix. A mix clipboard has the contents of a sound file, and you can apply custom crossfades and adjust both the source and destination volume levels along the way. It has a Z-plane time stretch. It's a time stretching engine that offers unmatched quality, making stretching artifacts obsolete, based on state-of-the-art psychoacoustic models and signal processing theory. It also has fades and invert and flip. It integrates nicely with another one of Sony's programs called Spectre Layers Pro 2, which is a spectral analysis and editor program. It goes a bit beyond this review, so I won't say much about it, but basically know that it is compatible and integrates between the two programs very well. The new 2.5 version also includes improvements to the event mode. It has CALM targeted metering as well. It has FLAC file format support, so it generates files in the popular lossless format that features space-saving compression and comprehensive metadata handling capabilities. It also now includes the new Convert, which is a batch processing automation tool. As a standalone program, it doesn't just launch as a dialogue from SoundForge, it is its own standalone program for batch converting audio files. It has an auto trim and crop tool. This can be very handy. So one example of what you could use that for is if you have a lot of silence at the beginning and end of a file, say you've used that for noise reduction, you can tell it to trim the excess off of the start and finish or just the end, just to start things like that. It's quite a handy little tool. It has a volume plugin, which modifies the volume of a selection using the convenient process dialog. You can customize the toolbar as well, and as I've mentioned before, it does now include Nectar elements, and so does the Windows version. Now this is an interface. It's pretty much what you see when you very first launch the program. You'll have a media browser here to the left as a left panel. You can then go into, say, your music folder and find a file, drag it open. However, I just find it is a bit of clutter that I don't need, so I go to View, Hide Left Panel. I just tend to hit Command O, which would probably be Control O on Windows, to open a file. I don't tend to use the media browser at all. You then have the main waveform here. You then have a navigation bar up here to navigate to different parts and different sections of your file. Here you have your record button to start recording straight away. Let's just close that. You then have new file, open file, save as, play all, or play from where you are, pause and stop. You have your information here. At the moment it just tells you what version you're using, but it will have a progress bar if it's in the middle of doing something. Here you can adjust your window. At the moment it's on show single editor. You can then have two horizontal editors, so you could have another file, say down here, and the one you're working on up here, or you can change the layout to have one on the left, one on the right. You can show or hide the left panel from here as well. You can get to show or hide the bottom panel, which I haven't shown you yet. The bottom panel lists regions. If you split the file up into regions, you have the file properties from here, such as the file name, the size, and any sort of other information such as sample rate and bit rate and bit depth from here, and if it's stereo, mono, surround, whatever. And you have summary information, which is kind of basically your ID3 tags, where you set the title, artist, album, copyright, publisher, genre, comments, description, what software it was generated with, location. The one thing I think is missing here is an ID3 cover art editor or whatever. As if you're doing something like, say, a podcast, you almost always add a poster or cover art. It would be nice if you could insert it here as well. Record is where you can set up some of your recording options, such as what's the device? Is it the default device? Or do you want to manually select it from the list? What's the method? Let's put that to normal. What mode is it? Create a new region or create a new window from it. You can tick to monitor your inputs if you've got a pair of headphones on or whatever, and then there's some advanced settings there as well. You have statistics, which is just your typical information such as RMS level and decibels. Then you have your actual loudness meters here with some settings for them. Let's hide that now and go to the next one. The next one is show the right panel. Right panel has your channel meters here. If you're playing, they would be jumping up and down. Here is your plugin chain. So say you always apply two, 3, 4, whatever of the same plugins with the same settings. You can add those plugins to a list here with all the settings that you use within them, and then you just click on that one chain and it will apply them all in that order with those settings to the file, so it can be a great time saver. Down here is your actual plugin chooser, which you can also get to from up here. You can select the categories such as EQs, or you can select a company such as Wave Arts if you want to use one of those, such as Dialogue, or Apple's built-in audio units, such as their bandpass or their graphic EQ. And you can also search for your plugin here if you want to find it quickly. And that's about all for the right panel. Let's hide that. From here you can also turn on, turn off, and adjust various parts of the interface from here as well. Now down the bottom you have your record buttons. On the left you have arm to arm the recording, then record to actually record. You then have go to the start of the audio data, fast forward to the end, stop, play. You have your normal mouse cursor here, which is default, which is time mode. You then have a pencil tool, an event mode tool, and an envelope mode. And when you're on the default here, you'll notice that if you jump ahead here and press space, it doesn't start playback like in other audio editors. Normally you jump ahead, hit space, and it starts playing back from that position. You'll notice it does not in this program. A way to do that is to select the envelope tool. With the envelope tool selected, jump to where you want to go and hit space. So that's the way to do it. I'm not sure why the default tool don't allow you to do that. It seems to try to make another selection. As you can see, now we're actually in the file here. We've got some data such as what position we're in and its sample rate, its resolution, and is it mono, stereo, or whatever there. Up the top we have preferences. Preferences is fairly basic. You can select your defaults for new files, such as is it CD or DVD quality, is it a 32-bit float or just 16-bit or whatever, how many channels you want it to have by default. And the nice thing is it does select, you can actually select surround sound, not just 5.1 but even things like 7.1, which is good, as I have seen other editors that support 5.1 but not higher. You can then go to audio, set up some things here for record and playback, and get to your keyboard shortcuts from here and change them or reset them to default and search here as well. From edit you can do your typical stuff such as undo, redo, cut, copy and paste. You can also mix to overlap files that you have copied. Select all from here. Selections such as mark in, mark out, snap to next 0, mode, time, event or pencil or envelope, event, there's no real events to mess around with at the moment. View, you can hide the toolbar from here. You can show the editing toolbar, which can be quite handy because you've got your basic ones you might want to use quite regularly here, such as cut and copy and paste. You also have delete there, undo, redo. You can quickly insert some silence or a marker or a region from here. You can enable and disable snap to grid and just general snap or snap to events. You can enable or disable auto ripple, lock enable, lock meters, and lock envelope points. You can fade in and fade out from here as well. You can also customize your toolbar here, so you can take some off that you don't want to use or add some that you do use that may not be there by default. So for example, say the M bit tool here or the wave hammer is not on by default but you use it all the time. You can drag it up here, and maybe you don't use mute, so you can drag it off to free up space. You can also show and hide your 2 horizontal editors or 2 vertical editors from here, which is what I've showed you over there. Again, you can show and hide the left, right and bottom panels here. There is also shortcuts to use on the keyboard. You can change the zoom time in full, normal, out, full selection, zoom level, entire waveform, visible waveform, or any of the selected waveform. You can also enter full screen from here. You can then go to insert a marker at the current playhead, region, silence, and simple synthesis. Process, this is where you can get to auto trim, which I mentioned earlier. And here you can select to remove silence from the start and the end, or remove silence between phrases, create regions, remove data from start, and limit length. There's also various fades and thresholds and percentages or decibels, things like that here. You have a channel converter, your time stretches here, fade in, fade out, and what type you want it to use, invert, flip. Your 64-bit SRC or M-bit plus diver. Mute, normalize. So you normalize RMS to minus 10 decibels for speech, and there is a few others there, such as music or very loud. Let's just close. These dialogues do tend to have a preview button as well, so you can preview them without actually applying them. You then have reverse, volume. You have audio unit, time, pitch, vary speed, sample rate, and bit depth calculator. Now under effects, built into the Pro version, you do have iZotope's suite here of plugins for mastering effects, such as equalizer. Here is a preset I made just experimenting. You can also select one of their others, such as country, boost treble, get a telephone effect, gentle vinyl, highlighter, various options here including presence, and then you can always enable, disable, and change it. And for say, like, you can move it around here, change the cue, which is basically how major the change is going to be. Preview it, turn it off completely from here. Let's just close that. Same thing, there is also exciter, limiter, imager, reverb, and a compressor. So it does come with a compressor. It's a multi-band compressor. You can select again from presets here, such as warm compression, preview it again, turn it off, whatever, or enable it, process. Then you have restore and repair, which is another third-party plugin that is included, which you'd normally buy separately. It is so you can do your basic denoise, declip, and declick. So let's hit denoise. From here, there is no presets, but you can select manual learning, intelligent learning, and learn. Now what you would do is you would have, say, 5 seconds of silence before you start talking or before there's music, whatever you're doing. Then you'd hit learn, start preview, and it will play. Then before it quite gets to the actual audio you want to keep, such as a voice, you stop playback, and then it will know that the audio you've just played is the rubbish, the noise, and it will use that as a profile to apply when you hit process, and it will attempt to intelligently get rid of the noise. It's very handy. Again, you can, if you have clip-in or click-in problems in your audio, you can use the other ones. A couple of Sony's own built-in ones made by them is wave hammer and volume, channel volume. Let's have a look at wave hammer. Basically, it's a limiter, and from here you can select bass, bypass, deep compression, a few others for things like drums and guitars, smooth or medium compression, or voice. So if you're doing a voiceover, I recommend you start there if you want to use this. And remember, this does have preview and process at the bottom. Then you get a list of some other plugins, mostly ones that you have installed yourself or Apple has included with the operating system. Or you could also go down here and find them by the company. So this, for instance, is where you find Nectar Elements that is included with the Pro version of Sound Forge. Let's just open it up for a quick look. Even though it's mostly for music, so you could select, say, pop or rock, and then select a style like Nectar Rock. Then you could select the space, the aggression, such as pumping and presence, the preamp loudness, the de-esser, which is to get rid of the hissy sounds in some words, especially ones S's, such as S is. You can get rid of it using that. There's a noise gate here, there's a pitch correction here, and your equalizer. But if you're doing voiceovers, things like that, you can go to voiceover and dialogue and select one here to get you started, even if you want to tune it later. such as podcast, you can select podcast. Then you have some different options such as bass and highs there, and you still have an EQ you can adjust further, but it has changed it by default for that preset to be what it thinks would be appropriate for podcasting. That's enough of that, as it's really something for another video. Then you have transport, which is a funny name for it, not one you tend to see in audio editors, but still what this is where you can create a new recording from a microphone such as a USB microphone or a 3.5mm audio microphone. You can arm the recording, record from there. You can play it or pause it. You can go to the start, rewind, fast forward, go to the end, preview the cut, or pre-roll to cursor. Next, you have tools. Here you can burn to the disk or burn regions to a disk. If you have Spectra Layers Pro installed, which I say is for spectral analysis, you can click edit in that program or send to that program. I haven't got it installed, so it's grayed out. You can also generate a loudness log. And there you go, it's opened a text file with all the details in. You can then go to options and select some different sort of labels, things like that. So instead of using time, you can use samples, seconds, time and frames, CD audio time. You can go to your channel meters, adjust them. You can adjust your snap and it'll turn it off. You can adjust your selection divisions here or enable, disable. Your events here, such as automatic crossfade for your events, various other things. You can loop playback from here or press Q on the keyboard. You can seek playback to cursor, which is F to enable, disable. Lock to selection, enable, disable. Windows, which isn't as useful as it sounds. I'll explain why in just 1 second. You then have help, which is basically to open up the help file or the mastering and repair suite's help file. Now, have I run into any issues with using this program? There's only one thing I call a bit of annoying and frustrating bug. And let me show you. I probably need to unmaximize first. Chances are you're going to use effects. And chances are you're also going to use third-party effects. They do work, but there's a bit of an if to that to some extent. Now let me show you what I mean. This is the worst one. Some behave worse than others, but let me show you. I don't believe this is a problem with the plugin. This is down to Sound Forge. If I pick one of the drop downs and select a different drop down, it disappears to the background. It's no longer in the foreground, which can be a bit annoying since with that particular plugin, every drop down you select, it does that. You pretty much can't use it well. Every time you click a button, it's going to the background. Not only is that a bit annoying, but it's not quite so quick and easy to get back up. Normally, in other audio editors I've used, when you have a window, a plugin window, and you have it go to the background, you go to Window and select it again like it is another window. As you can see, it's not listed as a window. And even if we click Bring All to Front, it doesn't work. The workaround for now with this is to hold down left mouse button on the dock icon, show all windows. It'll pop up like this. We can then click it and it will come back to the foreground. But again, I change something here and it goes again. Yes, this particular plugin I'm showing you is particularly bad for that sort of thing. Some don't really do that. But what if you want to go to, let's say, the build, the denoise that comes with the program? Now, what if we want to say, okay, got this up, but for learning, I'm going to select an area first. I'm going to select just the area noise. Now I've done that. I've got rid of the window for now, put it to background, but I can't just click back up here, say, okay, there it is. There's the plugin, click, pops back to foreground. I can hit learn. I have to go down this roundabout way, do this, do that, hit learn. Then I want to click back here, Command A to select all, Window's gone again, can't go up here, got to go down here, which is really a roundabout way. It's not really a way it's intended to be used, it's just a way I found that you can get around it for now until they fix it. Now with it all selected, you can say hit process and you're done. So it's a real roundabout way, and if you're using plugins and effects a lot, you could have a lot of window problem. You could have it go into foreground. Sometimes on purpose you want it to go to foreground away for a second, or sometimes, like in the case of that Vox former, it clicking buttons will just automatically, for no good reason, send it to the background, and it can be a pain. So this editor, so SoundForge at the moment with this bug, it's actually very frustrating to use. But I will emphasize here that this is really just a little tweak it needs changed. It's only a small bug. It shouldn't necessarily stop you from buying it right now, except if you do know that's going to annoy you, I would perhaps hold off a little bit longer till you've seen that they brought out, say, a 2.5.1 and it mentions that they've done that. And once you know it's fixed, maybe then buy it. It really depends upon you and how much you think you go use effects, or how frustrating you think that's going to be. The only other thing which I say isn't really a bug, it's just something, if you haven't used this editor before and you've used others such as Audacity or Amadeus Pro or whatever, you're going to maybe be a bit caught out by it first. If you go here, like I say, hit space, hit play, nothing happens. You have to, for some reason, select this tool here. Then you can go where you want to play it. So it's not really a bug, but it's something that might catch you out a bit at first if you are new to this editor and you've come from another editor, which tend to all allow you to hit space anywhere in the waveform and start playback from that position. You will have to select a different tool to do that. Here's a very quick look just to show you. It's a bit beyond the scope of this review because it's going to make it too long. I can't go into a full sort of tutorial type thing for it. But just to show you quickly, here's Convert, which is a batch audio converter that comes with the Pro version of SoundForge on Mac. And can be used as a standalone program, so you don't have to open SoundForge. You can leave it closed and only open Convert if you want. So you can add it to queue, change the metadata, select outputs for them, apply even plugins here and preview the plugins, and basically add files, and you can do 20 files or whatever it is you want with metadata changed and effects applied to them, and convert a whole batch of audios quickly or in one go. So that is certainly one thing a pro person who's dealing with a lot of audio files at one time may find very good. They may find it a great time saver. This one at the time of reviewing is version 1.0.3. So here is the save option. It's listed as save as, basically, not export. You can select your format, and there is a choice of saving it as one of their projects for the program, or 3GP audio. There's AAC, AIFF, which is more for Mac. There's MPEG-4 or MPEG-4 audiobooks, CAF, FLAC, MP3, MPEG-4 audio. There is OGG, Vorbis. There is Sony's own Sony Wave 64, Sony huge wave file format. There's Wave Compressed or Wave Microsoft. You can then select a preset such as mono 16-bit, CD quality, right up to, in this case, 96,000 hertz. Though what options you get here may depend upon the format. In this case, you can't do 192 or whatever because of, I guess, Wave. Microsoft doesn't like that. Compressed, you get even less options. With Sony Wave 64, you get similar options to the Microsoft Wave here. You can select 5.1 surround here. I don't see a preset for 7.1, not on Wave 64 anyway. You can then on some hit customize and customize it further, such as the channels here. You can also select the bit depth here, 8 to 32-bit. Then you can hit save. You can browse the way you want to save it. So what do I think? It's a good editor, pro level editor at that. It does support a lot of surround sound options, and it does come with some third-party plugins that would normally cost quite a lot of money separately. At the moment, it's a little frustrating because of the plugin issue with plugin Windows, and makes it quite a pain to work with right now. However, I'm sure that is such a quick, easy fix. I'm sure they'll have that changed very soon. There is a trial available. Because it comes with plugins, it's not available on Mac App Store, but the standard version is. It comes in two versions, Sound Forge or Sound Forge Pro. This non-pro version is available from the Mac App Store at around about £79. This version you get from Sony's website, and it costs around £199. But like I say, make sure you check out a trial first and see what you think. Please like and share this video, and if you have any questions about the program, how to find a feature, does it have a feature or does it not, or how to use something, don't hesitate but to ask in the comments or a IM message. Please subscribe to my channel, as it only takes a few seconds and will help me out a lot. Thanks.